This is Remo Daily, your daily dose of inspiration. This is Remo Daily, an oasis of innovation for your mind, your soul, and your heart. Connect, act, and recharge with Remo Daily. This is Remo Daily.
This is Remote Daily, and we're so excited to welcome our guest today, violinist, composer, Latin Grammy winner, founder and director of the all-women mariachi group Flor de Toloache, the first of its kind in New York City, and has been praised and celebrated for her work all the way from Coachella to the New Yorker magazine to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Today it's the Remote Daily Show, and we are so happy to welcome her. Mireya Ramos, happy to have you. It's such an honor. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Hi,
Wow,
everybody.
look at your setup there. I mean, the mic, the headphones, the dress. You're ready to go.
I am.
We will hear from you live, which is a special honor, and thank you so much for making time for us. But first of all, how are you doing, and where are you joining us from?
I am currently in San Juan, Puerto Rico. It's beautiful here. I was in New York for a long, long time, for about 20 years, but pandemic hit and I was stuck in New Zealand, and now life has brought me back home where I grew up, so I'm in Puerto Rico.
Stuck in New Zealand. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
New York, Puerto Rico is a connection that is one of the most fascinating, I find, in the world, the cultural connection between these two islands, I guess, of New York and Puerto Rico. Mireya, easy questions first. Why do you make music?
Oh, it fills my heart. Every time I do music, I'm just transported to pure joy and happiness, and I'm very passionate about it. I grew up in a musical household, and so I was always surrounded by music, so I can't even imagine not doing music.
And Mireya, you live and breathe what you do, and we always ask our guests to bring a question to the audience here in the room. So I assume that your question to all of us is also going to deal with music. What would you like to know from us today?
So that's and nobody's asked me to ask the audience that before, so that was hard. But I like to ask, what is the first song that gave you chills and made your hairs and your spine come up, or made you emotional, that you connected to instantly? What was that first song for you?
Oh my God. So what was the first song that really made your heart move, your spine, or made you react very emotionally, right?
Right.
And cry or laugh. And the songs are pouring in already. Actually, John kicked us off with Rocket Man, and Rashad immediately followed up with Pink Floyd.
I love it.
Comfortably Numb. Rashad, one day,
It's very good.
one day we'll have a punk session here. Steve Reich, wow, Liz, going completely changing genres here. And look at what is already in the chat. I mean, and then of course, the legends are coming in. Stand By Me is Karis's choice. And we have another Pink Floyder here. Some Enchanted Evening in South Pacific, says Jolie. Wow, I'd love to know more about that. I love South Pacific art and music. And look at this. What stands out to you, Mireya, when you look at the answers that are pouring in?
Well, I don't know Some Enchanted Evening in South Pacific, so that I'd like to know what it is. But I know Pink Floyd, The Wall, All of those are really good ones.
Now the
Come to
Beatles are
Numb.
coming in. Love, Love Me Do.
Beatles, yeah, of course.
And Sara Tavares, if I
Tavares?
pronounce that correctly.
Sara Tavares. Oh, I haven't
very
heard that one
interesting.
either. Oh.
Ha, there you go. What would you answer to that, Mireya?
When I was in high school, I had a CD of, well, I'm dating myself, Mercedes Sosa, and pretty much all the songs on that album for me were like, wow, just her voice is so insane and so simple. It's just all about the power that she carries on her voice and the story behind it. And so for me, it was my first connection with that kind of like depth, and layers that I had never felt like that. So for me, I would say Mercedes Sosa, pretty much all her songs.
Wow, the grand diva, and of course, the connection is here with our house band, with Dario. Mercedes Sosa land is where he's from, and you can hear it. And Mireya, you offered so kindly to also bring some of your own art to Remote Daily today. What would you like to perform for us first?
So I want to do my upcoming single, which comes out February 25th, and it's a love song. It's appropriate for Valentine's or the month of love, if you want to call it like that. And I wrote this song with a beautiful, amazing composer. Her name is Claudia Brandt, and it was quite an honor to write with her. And this song, we were supposed to pitch it for someone big, and it never got there. So I was very fortunate to be able to perform the song, and so this is my first time playing it for you guys. So you guys are the first ones to hear it live.
Wow! Oh my God! All right, this already makes me tickle. So here is Mireya Ramos live on Remote Daily with her new single.
This is
your
called
Valentine's.
Mi Mayor Fortuna. Te doy mi corazón, lo tienes en tus manos. Contigo solo hay veranos y días de sol. Jamás imaginé que volaría tan alto. Estoy sintiendo tanto queriéndote. Despierto agradecida. Descubrí la vida junto a ti. Yo no me iré de aquí. Yo no me marcho nunca. Apenas yo te vi, bajaron para mí la luna y las lunas. Yo no me iré de aquí, soy para siempre tuya. No necesito más, el amor que me das es mi mayor fortuna. El cielo me gané cuando probé tus besos. De esa alegría yo ya no regreso. Y así me enamoré de todos tus detalles. Me pierdo en las calles de día soñándote. Despierto agradecida. Descubrí la vida junto a ti. Yo no me iré de aquí. Yo no me marcho nunca. Apenas yo te vi bajar las nubes y la luna. Voy a quedarme aquí, soy para siempre tuya. No necesito más, el amor que me das es mi mayor fortuna. No necesito más, el amor que me das es mi mayor fortuna. Es mi mayor fortuna.
Mireya Ramos, Mi Mayor Fortuna, live on Remote Daily. And I see a lot of applause and a lot of love in the chat. And I also think I saw some eyes filling up with tears just by your voice. Thank you so much for bringing that to us live from Puerto Rico. And
my
please
pleasure.
tell us more about Mi Mayor Fortuna. I mean, I speak Spanish a little bit, but I'm trying to understand the title and what's behind it. Why did you make this song? Why did you create this piece?
So originally, I wanted to write the opposite, which is what I love to sing, like the rancheras, where it's all about heartbreak. And but for some reason, it just, you know how when you start writing a song, sometimes the song takes you somewhere else, and it just converted into a love song. And I'm so happy because that I got to cover it now, because I wrote this about 5 years ago. And now it's just such an appropriate time for me to sing that song where I am now in my life. And so I am very happy and much in love with my partner. And so I was like, why not get away from all that heartbreak, depressing kind of music that I love to cover and so passionately sing, and do a love song for once. So that's part of the reason why I decided to cover it now and record it and include it in my album. Mi mayor fortuna means my greatest fortune.
My greatest fortune. Wow. If that didn't make your heart jump, anybody. Wow. What a statement, and what a great, what a luck for us to be a part of your love and to share that with us. Thank you so very much. I got chills, says Anne. Beautiful. Shouts Eileen and awe, stunning. You see the reactions in the chat here, and thank you everyone sharing what goes through your mind when you listen to Mireya. You just said that you come from, or your background is, you made a lot of very special music, and you of course dedicated a big time in your life to mariachi as a musical form. But can you tell us, for people who don't know mariachi like me very well, what is it, and why is it so special to you that you decided to really focus your life around that?
Well, my father was a mariachi singer, and so I grew up watching him perform mariachi. He would take me with him to his gigs, and we also had a Mexican restaurant here in Puerto Rico that was open for about 20 years, and so he sang in the restaurant, table to table. That was part of like the whole restaurant experience. You would sit down and he would come and greet you, and then he would sing a song for you. He will ask you what song you wanted. And so I grew up watching him connect with people and watching people just be moved by his voice and connect with him in a very different way that I've never seen before. And so I've always dreamed of having that type of connection when I'm singing. And so that's how I fell in love with music, just watching him perform. And mariachi is a tradition that's been around for over 100 years, and it was born in Mexico. It started in Mexico, but it's become such a part of the Latin culture. Mariachi, like there's a lot of parties that you go to, even if you're in Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or even Colombia. People tend to bring a mariachi as a surprise to serenade someone for their birthday or their anniversary. Even at a funeral, people bring a mariachi, and so it's become a very big part of Latin American culture, and it's an honor for me to be able to continue to perform this kind of music. Of course, I've taken it and made it my own. I don't do traditional mariachi anymore. I used to, but not anymore. With Flor de Toloache is more of a fusion thing, but I am mixed, so that's what was genuine for me, and that's why Flor de Toloache gave me that freedom to kind of create and be free with music.
And we will talk about Flor de Toloache in a second, just to understand mariachi, because you're sitting there with your instrument right now. Is there a certain rhythm to it that you could just very briefly hear us, let us hear?
Sure.
Is there?
There's
does
so
it have
many.
a pattern?
No, there's a mariachi because it's a full ensemble, meaning that it has a full instrumentation where you can do different kinds of rhythms. So it has the guitar. Originally, it was guitar, guitarra de golpe, which is a specific guitar, and harp and violin. That was the original mariachi. And now what people know of mariachi is trumpets, tons of violins, guitarrón, which is a big bass, and the vihuela, which looks like a ukulele, but it's a little bit different. And the vihuela's function is like the guitar. And so you can play all kinds of rhythms. So they play cumbia, which is, it's to dance. And that rhythm originally comes from Colombia. But then you have like the traditional son, which is usually accompanied with dancing. I forgot the rhythm. I'm not really a guitar player, I'm a violinist. So. So imagine some trumpets over there. That, and there's like the rancheras, which is what I love to sing, what I was talking about before, the heartbreak kind of songs, which is very slow. And there's the polka. Which is called corridos.
That's where my German feet immediately start moving, of course.
Right.
Thank you for showing us this amazing array of rhythms that goes into your art. And you just said it like it's nothing. Flor de Toloache, the own group that you formed, that you have been a part of, and that has by now captured people all around the world, from huge festival stages to collaborations with very famous artists to, of course, Latin Grammy. Kudos, congratulations. But there's something to it that I want to go into, which is you did not only form a group, it is the first female mariachi group in New York City. I saw you shortly after I arrived here about 9-10 years ago, and I never forgot. Like it was magic for me to see this, because obviously you see something that wasn't there before, and that in the beginning it's like, what is going on? Why is this an all-female group, and why is this so amazing? And then you see all these ceilings shatter and all the limits break, and you just see that this is so much better, and this is so different. And I have not been, I couldn't forget about you and your group ever since. And I've been following you, and I've admired you, and I think what you do is outstanding. But how did you actually decide to push this tradition, which is a machismo tradition of mariachis, all male groups, apart, and form this group? First question. And second is, of course, how has been the backlash when you started out?
So we started in 2008, and before that, I was playing mariachi with an all-male group, very traditional, and they had just arrived from Mexico, and so my experience with them was obviously overall beautiful. I connected with my roots through that whole experience. But on the flip side, there was the whole machismo, as you mentioned, that I had to deal with and that I wasn't used to. Coming from Puerto Rico was a little bit more relaxed. Not to say that there's no machismo here, but it's expressed differently. And so there was a lot of friction in terms, like culturally. And so it took me a little while to understand and what was going on. And I was also very young, so I was growing myself as a woman. And so that whole experience really led to, for me to like, the desire for me to have my own group. I was like, I don't have the freedom to do my own arrangements, to pick the songs that I want to do, and to also just kind of venture out. Like every mariachi that I grew up listening to, they cover the same songs, and it's beautiful and it's very needed. You know, tradition is needed in order to conserve and like, preserve where we come from, and it's a beautiful thing. But for me, I wanted to do more, and I wanted to express myself through the music. And so that's part of the reason why I thought of forming Flor de Toloache. Plus, I was really surprised that there wasn't an all-female mariachi in New York City, you know, New York City being such a progressive city. But then I understood that the Mexican community was just starting to grow, and so that was part of it. And I'm happy and so lucky that I was able to pull it off, you know. In the beginning, we thought I called Shay, which is one of my best friends, my sister, who co-founded the band with me. And I had been working with her. She had never played mariachi before. But I knew her through her music. I was playing neo soul and R&B music, her original stuff, but we clicked so instantly, and our voices blended so nicely that I thought she would be perfect. And so she was down, and she learned mariachi from scratch and submerged herself into the culture, and she even connected to her Cuban roots through that. And that's what I was saying, that mariachi is such a big part of all Latin American countries, all of our like parties and cultures, and part of like our repertoire really. And so she connected through this experience. And at times it was just me and her. It took us a little while to find the ladies that would commit to the group. We thought that people were just going to jump on the idea because it's such a cool idea. We thought it was a cool idea. And yeah, it took us a long time. And then the mariachi community was not all about it. They were not supportive because, one, we were women and not all of us were fully Mexican, and because we wanted to do fusion. And so we pretty much had to pave our own path, and that's what we did. We went for it. We played in the subway for years. Yeah, that's us. We played in the subway for years and hustled and played for free in tons of restaurants and every possible venue in New York City, and lots of people turned us down, and some didn't and give us the opportunity. And so that was part of our journey. And the whole reason, one of the things that really, really helped us was that we played in the subway one Thanksgiving, and it was super cold. It was freezing. Shay and I were like wearing like tons of layers and trying to play our instruments in Times Square. And a woman from the Daily News had seen our set, and she was just passing by. And a few months later, she wrote this piece on us, and that opened the doors. Like after that, New York Times and Wall Street Journal and tons of other media started catching on to our story. And so, you know, you never know. You never know who's going to see you, and you just kind of put your heart out there and see what happens.
Wow, so literally emerged from the subway of New York City. And Elena Ontario, I see your hand up. No? All right. I just thought you wanted to
add a quick thing. Just to add, like, you know, they are very, very, very good. So, you know, this is not an accident. I think this is a very important story because things don't always happen so quickly, but they're an incredible group of musicians individually and collectively. So I don't know if you can say it was just a matter of time because nothing is guaranteed, but they're incredibly, they're just amazing. So
that.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very humble about what you have achieved, Mireya, but still, I want to ask you, what are you most proud of now, looking back at these um, 10, almost 15 years that you've been doing this?
I would say the inspiration that we've sparked to the younger generation of women, especially in mariachi. We've had, there was a girl from Detroit that started she started the first female mariachi in Detroit. And she came to see us before she started the group when she was 15 years old. Her quinceañera basically gift was to come and see us live in New York. And so her mom brought her, and a few years later, she started her group and inspired, by our work. And so that's pretty cool to see. Like, we never thought that our music would go beyond just performing and sharing our music, and so that's pretty cool to see, and quite an achievement, I think, beyond our dreams.
Wild. And John is asking in the chat because, of course, we all know what time this is for performers, and what kind of roller coaster you have all been on for the last 2 years. John is asking in the chat, was the band scheduled to come to a theater in Morristown, New Jersey? And I wonder, of course, what happened with you since March 2020? Like, how did you survive this time? I heard the word New Zealand in the very beginning, but of course, there's much more to this. You are a group, you're a collective of humans that decided to stick together. So please walk us through your personal roller coaster for the past 2 years. And yes, whether you were scheduled in Morristown or not.
I don't know if we're scheduled in Morristown or not. I know that there was a show, but I'm not sure if it got postponed or not. And so I know our agents are working really hard to postpone everything and make it happen. And also, we want to be out there performing. We miss it very much. So, yes, in March 2020, we went to Australia and New Zealand to do WOMAD, and that's when the pandemic started exploding everywhere.
The very famous World Music Festival, the first one that was ever out there, I think, started decades ago and has ever since been there to put bands like yours on the map, put them on the global festival circuit. So very important for you, I assume.
Yeah, and plus it was our first time on that side of the world. It was really exciting, and when we got to Australia, we started seeing the news. We were a little disconnected since we were out there, but it was crazy to watch everything from the other side of the world, and like not knowing what was going to happen. And so we were this close to canceling our trip to New Zealand, but we would have lost tons of money if we did that. So we decided to go to New Zealand and finish our contract. And then after we performed, which was fine, the festival was beautiful. It was such a epic way, basically, to like begin the pandemic and end our touring life for like a year and a half, because the festival was just gorgeous. The setting, the vibe, and it almost felt like people knew that there was something was about to happen. And so it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. But the next day we were supposed to get on the plane to come back to New York, and my partner was like, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna stay here. And I was like, what?
Wow.
And so he's like, I already spoke to everyone. Your family's fine. So we decided to stay, thinking that we were going to be there just for like a month, But it ended up being a year and a half. I stayed there a year and a half. I ended up connecting with and tapping into the musician community in different cities in New Zealand, and I got to perform tons, and I got to write an album and record an album, and that will come out later this year. And so it was quite an experience, a very unexpected experience, but it was definitely a gift. I felt so lucky, and like I was like, how did I deserve this, to be here? And because New Zealand didn't have COVID, and so life was pretty normal. There were like lockdowns here and there, but it's nothing like what was happening here. And so I was really lucky to pretty much like not how do you say like esquivar the pandemic. So
Of course.
and so yeah, so that was beautiful. But on the flip side, with my band, it was really hard because our life as we knew, we were touring all the time, and all of a sudden there was nothing, and all of a sudden I wasn't able to see my bandmates, my family for a year and a half. And so that part was really hard for me and for the band as well. And so we did what we could virtually. Thankfully, there's all these platforms and people were connecting online much more. And so we got to do a few things. I know that we got really lucky because a lot of other musicians didn't have anything at all. And so I'm very grateful for that. And we kept on going. We recorded an album remotely for the first time. And that was interesting experience, but it was so nice to like get everyone's tracks and hear them in my ear, and I felt connected with them again, and so that was beautiful. And so that album is coming out March 8th, and it's all an album, an ode to rock en español, and all rock covers. So but mariachi style, flor de toloache style.
Wow, what a journey.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
quite
can't
a bit.
even, it's hard to process what you just described, but I guess to boil it down, you always seem to be at the right island at the right moment in time.
That's true. That's what I tell my partner. I was like, what? Like we're always like we left New York, and then New York Omicron happened, and we were in Puerto Rico, so we were a little safer here. And so it's like we're like jumping. I haven't gotten sick yet, so I'm like, oh.
Good for
But
you.
I mean,
And
yeah.
you have been producing all across the board. Like you just said, a book, just a new album, you were performing, like you were just putting your art out there in this whole crazy time. So kudos to that. And we're about to actually experience one of your productions from that time, a collaboration with Gaby Moreno, called Lady Grinning Soul, before we hear you, of course, perform here live with us another time. So what can you tell about us about this video that we're about to see?
So this song is one of my favorite songs by David Bowie, and I wanted to, well, first of all, I wanted to do it in Spanish, so it has a verse in Spanish that my brother translated. He's an amazing lyricist, so he collaborated with me on this song. And then I was just like, I was always dreaming of collaborating with Gaby Moreno, and she also sings on the David Bowie cover band. And so for me, it was like perfect match. And it was an amazing experience to collaborate with her. And so I decided to choose this song as my first single off of my upcoming album as a soloist and as a solo artist. And because it's such a beautiful piece, and it's epic, and David Bowie was just an amazing artist. And I was like, and this particular arrangement has the fusion of like a little bit of ranchera with the waltz and the instruments, but then it has pedal steel, and then has Gaby Moreno on electric guitar and her singing, and so it has like all these like different elements, and that's exactly how I envision my music being, like just like un sancocho, like a mix of stuff. She'll come, she'll go, she'll lay belief on you, skin sweet with musky oil, the lady from another grinning soul. Cologne she'll wear, silver and America. She'll drive a beetle car and beat you down at Coconasta. And when the clothes are strewn, don't be afraid of the room. Touch the fullness of her breast, feel the love of her caress. She will be your leader.
no offense to David Bowie, Mireya, but I think you are absolutely nailing it here. Kudos. I'm letting the video run for a little bit, so just you can maybe walk us through what this meant for you to cover such a famous artist and really lift it to another level. Oh, wait, your mic is still off.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes.
Oh, okay, good. What was your question? I'm sorry.
No worries. I just wanted to ask if you could maybe talk a little bit about what it meant for you to cover David Bowie. I mean, that's not an easy task, and obviously you're pushing this to an entirely different level here.
Well, it is an honor to be able to cover one of his songs, and I originally did this arrangement for when he had passed away, the day after we had a show with Flor de Toloache. So originally I made this for Flor de Toloache to cover it, but I love this melody. I love how visionary he was, and how almost like he was like magical. He was out of this world, and so I feel really connected to that kind of creativity, and so that's why I wanted to cover one of his songs. And I forgot to mention that in this recording, you'll see Mike Garson playing. He is the original pianist of David Bowie. He was his pianist, and he was the one who recorded this song originally. So I had that blessing of being able to collaborate with him as well. And this video, my partner is he co-directed it, co-produced it, and he's starting in it. So pretty cool to watch it again and see him acting.
And here was the pianist just for a few seconds. So kudos to you, and congratulations to this amazing collaboration. Applause, and also lots of love here in the chat for you. So maybe before I get too demanding here, do you have anything else that you would like to perform for us? I'm just kindly asking, because obviously to experience your voice here live in the Zoom room with us is a huge honor, and has been I was really I didn't know what to do and what to say after you played. So is there anything else you want to share with us?
Sure. I want to do ranchera, which is what I was mentioning before, that I love to sing. I'm very passionate ranchera singer, and this is a classic that I arranged for my album as well. It hasn't come out yet, but this is called Canción Mixteca. Qué lejos estoy del suelo donde nacido, inmensa nostalgia invade mi pensamiento. Qué lejos estoy del suelo donde nacido, inmensa nostalgia invade mi pensamiento. Al verme tan sola y triste, cual loca al viento, quisiera llorar, quisiera morir. Tierra del sur. y ahora que lejos yo vivo sin luz, sin amor. Al verme tan sola y triste, cual loca al viento, quisiera llorar, quisiera morir y qué lejos estoy del suelo donde nací.
Latin Grammy winner Mireya Ramos, live on Remote Daily. Mireya, what an honor. I think the undersea cable from Puerto Rico was glowing with from your voice, bringing this out into the world, into the Zoom room, into the streams. What an honor, and I must say I'm speechless. I'm just blabbling here. So thank you so much for sharing your art with us. And I am so grateful for Eleanor and Dario to have reached out to you, to have connected with you, and to bring you here to this community. It's really, really a special treat. And I can't believe that you just said you're not really a guitar player, because, I mean...
No, I'm not. I'm like, with Eleanor, her partner, I'm like, no. He's so good.
Well,
Thank you for listening.
Last question, Mireya. We have learned so much about you, how you have broken so many glass ceilings in the music industry, and of course for female artists, really coming from the New York subway onto the world stage and now touring, being down under during the pandemic and creating, and we can see how big you're hitting it with your solo career now adjacent to the band. But one thing that's really important for us is to support you wherever you go. So as a community, what can we do? What is the best way to support you in your efforts right now?
Well, I'm an indie artist, so I don't have a label supporting me. And so the greatest thing that people can do to support an artist is online by subscribing to YouTube. I have a Patreon page that is a subscription where I do exclusive content for whoever subscribes, and then listening to me on the digital platforms like Spotify and as much as you can so my numbers go up. I hate that those things matter because I don't think of music that way, but you know, these days in the digital world it does matter. So
it does matter, and I think I saw on your Instagram that you're offering Valentine's customized music pieces. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm doing just like a simple FaceTime where I do a song virtually for someone, for your loved ones. So I am doing that. I also have a GoFundMe for my album because I am releasing it independently. So if you like to support, I have that.
An independent artist, it sounds so lightly, but this is you carving out your own space, and you have brought it so far. And I encourage everyone out there to look up Mireya Ramos on your favorite platform, follow, support, subscribe, and get that Valentine's serenade. I mean, how cool is that? Mireya, I heard a rumor that Eleanor and Dario and you are going to connect towards the end of the hour. So I'm going to bring Eleonor and Dario up on stage with us again. What have you guys planned? I'm just curious.
Should we answer? You want to answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we're gonna play
Thank you.
our own version of a very well-known Mexican song called Cucurú Cucú that I think Rajat particularly enjoys, if I remember correctly. It's a song. It's a beautiful song about a dove who has lost his mate, and yeah, it's beautiful. I think we should go into it. One thing I want to say before is you have not heard Mireya play violin on this particular episode. As incredible as her voice is as incredible as her violin voice is. So if we don't have time for that today, please go and look for that in the universe, because she's an incredible musician all around, as you can hear, and she's an absolutely amazing violinist. So.
Wow! Before we have you perform together live on Zoom, what a treat! I have to say thank you so much, Mireya Ramos, for joining us. I know where to click after the show. Support you, become a Patreon, and follow your work further on. I admire what you do. You're amazing. You're a trailblazer for so many artists out there, and it's been such an honor to host you. And I can't wait to see what you're doing next and what happens with your album when it comes out and hits the shelves and the digital streams. Thank you so much, and everyone, thank you for taking the time to be here. Next week on Remote Daily, Darnell Stapleton and a football coach who is also part of the Remote Daily community, live from Florida on developing the next generation of athletes, and of course looking back with us on the Super Bowl weekend. And now please enjoy this unique collaboration live here between Puerto Rico and Queens, New York City. Doesn't get any better. Over to you guys.
Sorry, one quick plug also. We're playing on Sunday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern and 7 Central. We're going to play a Valentine's Day concert for anyone who feels like celebrating love in all its forms. It's on Zoom, and you can just let us know if you want to come, and we'll send you the Zoom link. That's it. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Dice que no comía, no más se le iba en puro llorar. Dicen que no dormía, no más se le iba en puro tomar. Dicen que el mismo cielo se estremece al oír su llanto. Cómo sufrió por ella, que hasta en su muerte la fue llamando. Ay, 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 ay,
Mireya Ramos,
Gracias.
Eleanor Dubinsky, and Rio Acosta Tai on Remote Daily, only here and only now. Please go off mute, shout hooray, say thank you to our amazing guests, and wish each other a nice and happy weekend. Stay healthy. Thank you, Mireya, and everybody who was part of the
Thank
show
you.
today. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so
Gracias.
much.
Gracias,
Thank you,
Eleanor.
Mireya.